Namaste, Prakash here. Welcome to the next edition of Dharma Tales. Let's debate. This time, I'm going to put you through a story which is very rarely known, something almost bordering on science fiction. This is exactly what makes Mahabharata so very interesting, so very powerful, and so much to learn, both in terms of the ethereal aspects of what Mahabharata is, and also how it connects back to the day to day life that we all lead even today. This story is set long, long ago, even before the fight for the kingdom began in Hastinapur. Arjun had gone to meet Lord Krishna on his invitation. Lord Krishna was apparently going to do a yagna, and doing that yagna, he couldn't be disturbed during the time. He had to sit throughout. And he had just called Arjun to be available for help should there be a need which comes up. Arjuna is present, and as the yagna begins, there is a Brahmin from the kingdom of Lord Krishna who comes and starts wailing and crying. Lord Krishna, since he is part of the yagna, he couldn't either talk nor get up to go and meet the Brahmin to find what it is. So he just tells Arjun through a sign that, talk to this Brahmin and find out what is to be done. So Arjun talks to this Brahmin, and then the Brahmin says something very, very strange. He says that every time a kid is born in my house, the kid immediately vanishes, and I don't know where it is going. And Lord Krishna, being the king of this kingdom, he is responsible. I am his praja. He has to come and save my children. So Krishna is hearing all this, and then he sort of gives a sign to Arjun to go and see what it is. So the Arjun takes the Brahmin quietly, goes to his house, and then he finds something very, very strange happening. It's not that children are taking 9 months to be born as we normally know. It is just that they seem to be appearing, and suddenly there is a light which comes and picks them up and goes. He just is not able to understand. It is the fourth or the fifth or the sixth child that the Brahmin has lost. And he is wailing and crying, and he says, Lord Krishna is not being worthy of a king. So Arjun says that I'll go and find. And so the Brahmin actually taunts him and says that what if you don't find? He says that either I get your children back or I will immolate myself and die. This is a promise I give you. And being a Kshatriya that he is, he wants to stand by the word, and then he goes around everywhere in earth. He is not able to find. And then he immediately thinks that it could be maybe a problem that he has to resolve with Lord Yama himself. So he moves into his astral form and goes into Yamalok. And to his surprise, he finds that Yamalok is locked. And in spite of his repeated attempts to get in, he is not able to get in into Yamalok at all. So he gets really angry. I am Arjun and I have come here, and I am the son of Indra himself, and nobody is respecting. And immediately pulls his Brahmastra, and then he is about to send it out. And at this moment, Yama comes there and then says, sorry, Arjun, you shouldn't be doing this, because if you do this, you know that Brahmastra can destroy the entire universe. Assuming that you do this, who will get back the children for the Brahmin? So Arjun asks him, where are the children? He says that they came here but they moved on. They moved on to a world beyond the understanding of a dimension, that there is nothing that I can do. All I can tell you is that you are not here in the right place. They are not here. And Arjun goes around searching. He doesn't find in any of the worlds that he knows of. He goes to Patala Lok and Narakalok, everywhere. He is not able to find them at all. And then very dejected, he goes back. And then he tells the Brahmin very sadly that I am very sorry, I have failed in my commitment. And as the word that he had given to the Brahmin, he goes and looks to immolate himself. And the fire is lit, and as Arjun is about to walk in, Lord Krishna has finished the yagna by now, and then comes and stops Arjun. He says, what are you doing? He says, oh Lord, I had given this commitment, and then I find now that the children are somewhere and I am not able to find them. And I need to stand up to my commitment of self-immolation, because I told the Brahmin out of my ego or whatever I had. If I don't bring them back, I'll immolate myself and die. Lord Krishna buys time from the Brahmin, saying that we'll come back. And then he takes Arjun and he says that I think I know where they are, but the normal chariot with which you would have traveled is not useful for this. And then through a snap of his fingers, he gets what is known as a Viman, as we might know these days, something that flies in the air. And Arjun is looking at it, and then as it is unfolding, so Krishna says that, come on, you be the charioteer and take this Viman and go wherever you want to. So they travel all over the space, cross all the worlds and universes that they know of. And finally, they come to a place which is completely pitch dark to the extent that Arjuna is even scared, afraid, being a warrior that he is. And those days, believe it or not, it was known to be the equivalent of a black hole, where there was an alternate universe on the other side. So Lord Krishna says that don't worry, I'll take care. And then he puts his Sudarshan Chakra up, and then it lights the way into the tunnel. Then they pass through the tunnel, and then they completely go into a different world altogether. Supposed to be the alternate world, into the black hole. And then they find that they see Lord Vishnu himself. Apparently, Krishna, after all, is an incarnation from Lord Vishnu. And then they find that the children are playing there. And Krishna says that they have actually reached the abode of Lord Vishnu himself. And then, because of the commitment that Arjuna had given, Krishna brings those children back and gives to the Brahmin, and the Brahmin is happy. The story sort of ends here, but there are a lot of questions that actually comes up in this story, even beyond Dharma. One, if such a story could be thought of being written even long, long, long ago, imagine what kind of advancement in science people would have made even to imagine and write about black holes even before science had even found it out. More than that, why would Arjun give a commitment to a Brahmin when he actually is not the person who is the king? He is just a visitor. Why would a person? Doesn't it all happen to many of us that in somebody else's problem, we go and commit ourselves and then we find ourselves in a very piquant situation? It was Lord Krishna's kingdom. Arjun was just a visitor. If Krishna had told him to speak to the Brahmin, he could have just spoken to the Brahmin and waited, because after all, it is his ego which made him commit, is what one might be tempted to think. Or was it a play of Krishna? Or why would Krishna go against the will of nature in one way when the children have actually reached the abode of Lord Vishnu, considered to be the ultimate for anyone who believes in religion? Why would he pull the children back? He didn't make the commitment. The commitment was made by Arjun. So was it the love between Arjun? Was it the love between Krishna and Arjun? What made him do to undo something what the children had earned for? In some way, the children had earned their liberation and reached the highest pinnacle of spiritual growth. There are several questions which come up in this beautiful story, which can be interpreted as dharmic questions, can be interpreted as scientific questions, can be interpreted as questions relating to life, commitment, moral values. It's up to us to think through. These kind of stories are rare, but they have been written long ago, which means people did have some kind of a premonition about something that we even today are not even aware of. Let's move to the question box, comment section below the video, and then start sharing all our insights about what are the dharmic values that we see in this story. What are the values that we need to talk and understand this further? Dharma Tales, let's debate. Till we meet again, Prakash here. Thank you.